Hello, I'm Marta Ra, CEO of Paracelsus Recovery. Welcome to our video podcast. I would like to thank Sabine Boss and Michael Steiger for being here today at Paracelsus Recovery. Today we will speak about your latest movie, which is Open Season. We have Sabine here as the director of the movie and Michael Steiger as the producer. And we are very excited to hear about how you came across making a movie like this and what was your motivation and what was the journey of it and what is your message that you want to bring across the movie. So let's start with the first question. What brought you this idea to have a movie addressing manager suicide?
First of all, thank you for having us. It was a news article from a Swiss-German magazine, economic magazine, that actually triggered the movie-making process, meaning the script, but it was generally this period of time when in Switzerland a lot of managers took their lives. And we realized that in the public there was actually people were asking questions, how can you kill yourself when you have so much money, so much power? And there was actually no...
it was like a lack of empathy.
A lack of empathy, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when we talked together, and then were you actually liking the idea from the beginning, or did you get more into it?
To be honest, I got more into it during the research. Before I thought maybe it's difficult for me to do a movie about the subject. I don't know. I'm not so much into the management business, of course. So I was skeptical at the beginning if I'm the right one to do so. But since you have your history as entrepreneur yourself, so I thought you might help, and together then we started the project.
Yeah, it was quite difficult because a lot of people said, "Who wants to see that? It's the taboo. Don't do that." Even others says, "Who cares? You know, if managers, they're all gangsters if they kill themselves." So so it was quite difficult in the beginning, really, to find people that would
believe
yes.
in the script.
So obviously this topic is a very special one and it's a very serious topic, but it's a very current topic, as we have seen that a lot of managers suffer from various things such as depression or alcohol addiction and other substance abuses. However, this kind of topic where actually managers who don't have a lot of become a lot of sympathy from others, what made you decide, okay, I will go into that direction even though it's not such a popular topic, and how did you develop the story?
First of all, when you start a topic like that, you need creative people that really come along. And I think the crucial part, first moment was that Sabine said, I'm coming along. I think this important issue. And we had a writer that actually then in the end didn't get a credit, but he was the initial writer who said, I'm going for it. And so you have a constellation you can really start with.
When you can imagine when you develop a script or a movie, at the beginning it's an idea, and then it's maybe a sentence, and then it's 1 page, and then it's 5 pages, and it's 10 pages, and it's develop characters. So it's the first, I mean, we knew that we wanted to do something about the power struggle between two managers, which ends badly for one, and the rest we all invented month after month, year after year. It's like it's like a globus which is getting bigger and bigger.
So the viewers of this podcast who have not seen the movie yet or the preview, can you just roughly give us a small summary about the movie?
Well, we meet two characters. First there's Alexander Meyer. He's 55 years old. He is working as a CFO in a company called Walser. He's there since like 25 years. He is really a loyal worker who made up in his career in this company. And then comes a new person, a new CEO in, called Hans-Werner Brockmann. He comes from Germany to the Swiss company, and he wants to change. He wants to change the system of the company quite in a fast way, and he wants to change it radically, and he doubts the qualities of the staff before. And this increases a high potential of fear and aggression between the two men, and then in the end it ends badly for Alexander Meyer. He doesn't see a place for him anymore.
So how did you develop the character? Maybe one step back. Did you speak to a lot of managers? Where did you get your inspiration from? Did you have real possible examples? Did you speak to the managers that are in similar situations in order to develop the character?
Yes, of course. We did that a lot. What really helped for me is that my wife was a mergers and acquisitions banker working for two huge banks in Switzerland. So I knew the whole politics in corporations when there was hardball play. This really helped a lot. And we also, of course, around the cases we took as an inspiration for the movie. We talked to people that knew these people and worked with them and how it goes on.
And in order to direct the movie, of course, I met so many CFOs. I was in so many offices of so many different CFOs who really helped us and the writers, Simone Schmid and me, to feel how I should direct it. How is a meeting going on? Where does it start? Are you still working analog, or is everything digital? We had to decide everything. So we had a lot of help.
Astonishingly, everyone, we only had open doors. Nobody would say, no, I don't want to talk to you. There are secrets. No, I don't want to get involved, because we made very clear what the movie was about. And it's ambiguous, because these important top managers, they want to talk about it. They think it's important, but actually no one does anything. So they all bow in front of this system, and they think it's bad how they are treated, or they treat each other among each other. So that was really crazy. We never had anyone who said, no, I don't want to be involved in that, because I think it's not a good story.
But they didn't want to talk personal stuff. They didn't want to talk about personal stuff. They just showed us how it's going on, but the personal things were always a little bit hidden.
They told me more personal stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe they were a little more afraid, when they
that I would maybe put it in the movie.
You put it on the movie.
But I have a lot of respect for these people. They work a lot. What I really realize is that we all know, but how hard workers these men, especially men, they're mostly men, are. They give everything for the company. And
the important issue is also this loneliness, they have, because when they rise up in the hierarchy of the company, so you have buddies, you grow up with them in the company, then you get to the highest position, you lose almost everyone. So you cannot trust, and it's of course confidential issues, but the loneliness was really astonishing. Yeah. And on both sides, because they work so much, they lose somehow the contact to the family, daily life, and professionally they lose like the ground to the company, because they are in top position.
And when we developed the characters, we decided to make like two archaic characters. So there's one is the narcissistic CEO, the narcissistic, self-loving, good-looking, charming, but narcissistic person. And then there's the perfectionist, the shy, a little bit closed. He's not a showman. This is Alexander. So we have these two principles of managing people who are confronting each other. So it's that was on a psychological based the way we developed the story.
Yeah.
I think behind everything, it's a psychology of characters.
Yes.
We're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would like to go a little bit more deep into the psychology, because obviously you're giving a very big voice to these people up there in the hierarchy who are not really being heard, or people don't have a lot of feelings for them in the publicity. And there you have those two archaic characters which are very real. So maybe can you a little bit share, while you were developing the characters and making the movie, what kind of psychological traits did you come across those kind of people have, and what kind of behavior and patterns do they have?
Yeah, I think it's strategy, mostly strategy, and somehow also the division between what's good for the company and what's good for myself. And sometimes it melts, you know, the two parts come together. But basically, it's also your story. You're selling your story. You want to be in front of it. And I think this clash also psychologically we had in this movie, because Alexander is more on long-term perspective, the other one is more on short-term perspective, the turnaround manager, and that they don't really play an open game.
Yeah,
mostly
at least,
the turnaround manager,
yeah, at least
and how you deal with that.
And I think it's also, you know, it is sexy to come up with new ideas. It is sexy to come and to say, now we change everything. We need to earn money fast. This is sexy. We also discovered that he has the funnier lines in the script.
Yes.
Brockman, who is the bad guy, somehow he has the funnier lines. He's just more attractive. And the other guy, Alexander, who is really like going forward in a very strict and very fair way, he is boring. Or more boring. He's less sexy. And it's also, so we talk also about our perspective of men, or to men, or to male characters. What is sexier also for a woman? The one who is, you know, who is the seller, or the Warner, who is always a little bit shy and is not, is not dressed as good, and etc. etc.
And also these, you know, these small games when. You, in a very friendly way, you try to really hurt or to show I'm the boss here. So we had this scene, you know, this hunting scene where he puts blinds in the gun, so the other one couldn't really actually shoot the bird, and it was like, you know, these scary moments when you think it was for fun, but actually it wasn't for fun. It had a purpose behind.
Yes.
And then we had a lot of these elements in the movie.
Well, I think what combines the two of them, or what is similar between the CEO and the CFO, is that they do not talk personal. They talk politics, they talk strategy. They do not talk personal. What is personal is beyond, is the subtext. That's where you know where you fight with weapons, with hidden weapons.
Yeah.
Both are willing and capable to do that. Not to tell what it's about, tell it in a different way.
So although we have those two archaic characters, which are different, but don't they have one thing in common, that they're actually both lonely in different ways? Or would you say that the CEO is actually not lonely in comparison to the CFO?
I think this CEO can deal better with that. So as he's a more egocentric person, he doesn't need a lot of people to comfort him around, because he has like a large ego. But I think he's also a lonely man. He doesn't have many friends, but he's more into the system. And throughout the movie, you have the feeling he's better off. You know, it's not so much suffering.
I would say the same. Yeah, I would say he's lonely but I think he doesn't care about being lonely, because he is enough for himself. So he would be the man who's standing up in the morning, looking in the mirror and telling, "Wow, this is a great guy." The other one would get up in the morning and ask, "Oh, how do I do this day? How do I manage this day?" Or maybe he would say, "I'm too thin." He has more doubts, I think, than Brockman. So he is more sensitive, more sensible, more, Yeah.
What was also very interesting to see that the main character was in a relationship difficulty, and also that possibly made him even more lonely. And here you can see how important it is to have a partner in life, which was very well illustrated in your movie, the bond between the CEO and the wife, which seemed to be working at the dinner party where the main character invited his wife just to pretend. So I think it was a very also good illustration from you to show both possibilities and how important it is to have a partner or a working relationship, and how it is if it's not working in the scene when they left the house. So while you were working with the main character, what were the preparations you have done with him for him in order to get into the scene and to get into the character?
First of all, you really need to have a good script, and the basis was the good script. That every dialogue which is said there is really is there. We did some research on it, so we knew every sentence is correct. That's how they would talk. So we did not have to correct, the content. That was the first step. A good script, which took us like 4 until 5 years of work, and then you ask the actors to be that character, to play that character. And of course, at the beginning they are very, very distant because they're not working in the industry. They are artists. So we had to do a lot of body work, like the tension in the body, costumes have a lot to do. Makeup has a lot to do with the character, and of course he did also some research. He spent some time in meetings and so on. But he developed everything in a psychological way, more than in a research way, like I did. So he came from the inner side. He came from this loneliness, from this doubt, from this doubt that you lost your wife, but although you don't want to accept that you lost her, you just put it aside and you say, I just need to work more these 3 months more, and maybe she's coming back. So he doesn't really watch where he's standing in life, because he puts work before everything. And this, again, is for an actor, of course, something he knows by himself. Stefan is really, he works a lot. He's a hard worker. And so he could put this side from himself in the character, this personal side, to be a perfectionist himself.
Yeah, this came very well across in the movie, that the main character has lost basically touch with reality, because he was focused just on one thing, and on the left and the right, everything what he had was pushed away, and he lost it. The child, the relationship, everything was falling apart, and he was still focused on something that didn't make sense.
Absolutely, that's what we tried to tell. Yeah, that's this tunnel. Yeah.
Speaking of the tunnel, there are also tunnels from a filmmaking perspective. Maybe you can share a little bit about that, because there is a psychological part, there is a script, but also from a filming perspective. How have you worked on that in order to emphasize it?
You're the first person who realizes that. We had a lot of scenes in the car between different places, and then at a certain point, the DOP, Michael Steiger, and me, we had the idea to put everything just in one tunnel. And then the beautiful thing was that this tunnel was under construction, so for one night we could just use it, the empty tunnel for us. and so we said, okay, let's put all the money, all the energy in there, and then we were shooting there. And to me, I think it's a good idea, because it reduces also like his perspective. Of course, he's driving everywhere, but again, we're like this there's like a pattern, there's this line, you know where to go. It's always, a tunnel shows you where to go. It doesn't leave any way out.
There's no
way out. Yeah. And the ways out, they're written on the wall, but there are small doors.
Yeah, exits.
So, yeah.
So it's unbearable almost when you see that, but you cannot escape. But that, in fact, it's the same feeling the main character has, because you don't see any way out. You have to go, because we, from the other angle, we could say, come on, why don't you quit the job, just walk away, don't do this. And that was also the purpose about making the movie, to make it understandable why he cannot quit, because the options become lesser and less, and until you just have this tunnel, and you know it's all in. It's either I lose or I win it all.
So the last scene is the answer to the question. There was only one more option left. So how do you prepare for a scene like that as a team, and then the character?
The first question is what we had to answer: in which mood does he kill himself? Is he panic stricken? Is he like kind of relaxed? Where is he? Is he afraid? And this is something we discussed a lot, Stefan and me, who is the actor, and we decided to make him like peaceful. That this for him is really like relief. He decided to go, everything is clear, he has written his letters, he knows where to go, he has his revenge. He had his personal revenge to Brockman, and now he could just like clean his life. It was like a cleaning process. And we know that many of people who kill themselves, from psychologists or psychiatrists, that they have in the last few days before they really go, when they took the decision to take that step, that they have kind of that they kind of happy again, or like calm, an inner serenity is, and that's what we try to tell. We know that there are other suicides who are committed really at the moment, out of the moment. There are different types of suicides. It was when we were shooting that, I will never forget that it was a complete silence, and you must imagine in this small room we were about like 40 people. And nobody spoke out loud. We were it was really respectful. It was very strange atmosphere in this room when we did it. I was very sick. I remember I had fever.
Yeah, you
and
were
I was
in
sitting there.
condition. Yeah.
I took, I was in a terrible condition, but it was like very special day. This gun stuff. Yeah. Then they came and said we have overtime, and it was but for the crew, it was when you shoot something like that, you feel like the responsibility that you're not. It's not an everyday scene. You feel the heaviness of the scene for all of us.
So speaking about the last scene, which is the key scene for me, how did the main character leave this role and left the scene for sure, because the last scene is very tragic, and I was wondering about the main character himself in real life. How did he do this homework to leave that character on the set on the very last moment of the movie?
I think they're used to this. You have, sometimes you're a murderer, or sometimes you're a lover. I mean, you have to deal with the fact that there's a character you are like interpreting, and there's you as a private person. I remember just this day that the last shot we made is he lying on the floor after being shot, and then we put him there, and there was someone who put the blood around his head, and he had to lay there, and that was for him the most terrifying moment, like the moment after, right? He was just a body, nothing left, just a body lying there. That was tougher for him to interpret than the moment of fear because he decides to do it, or the moment of concentration. Yeah, of course, because then it was just a question about the amount of blood around his head. Oh no, we put a little bit more. Oh no, on the wall we put a little bit more blood. It was really like empty. It was like that was happening every time when somebody is dying. In the end, you have the body, and he's not there anymore. So that was the toughest moment for all of us.
I can imagine, and probably the dynamic in the room also changed while shooting this very scene. Was this also really the last scene you shot from the whole movie, or?
No, it was. I think it was.
I was just, we were shooting in Zurich, and we were shooting in the canton Zug in Bar. So we put everything together what we had in Zurich, and then we went to Bar. I think it was in week 2 or something.
Almost at the beginning.
Yeah. The last scene we shot was Brockman telling that he quits the job.
Yeah, the
press conference of Brockman. That was the last scene of the whole movie.
Very interesting. Also a very special ending then for the whole film crew, isn't it?
That was really touching. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, maybe you know that when an actor has his last scene, then the whole crew comes together and we applaud. That's like the only moment in a shooting where they get applause, because normally they're coming from theater, so they're used to have being applauded, and this is to me always a very touching moment. The last and first, the scene before was like a meeting room scene with Stefan, and then the whole crew like shouting, "Woo, thank you!" And then it was Uli Tukur.
Yeah.
2 hours later. Then I'm always crying then. I'm always crying because it's the end of a long journey.
No, and it was throughout the whole shoot. It was always a big pleasure. I mean, for the whole crew to see these two guys doing their job, because they're fantastic actors, and that was really a pleasure to see how they got into the role, how everything came alive with such professionalism, how they did it.
Yeah,
that was really something. And you did a marvelous job, you know, taking care of them, because it wasn't easy, because Tukur is very famous, very self-confident, and Stefan is very, as you said, he's a perfectionist, and to bring this together, that it worked, that was a fantastic job you did.
Thank you.
It's really an amazing job where the key message is brought so well across that it can really now be also seen and viewed by, let's say, the masses, because I think it's really a key topic and it shouldn't be a taboo anymore.
Absolutely.
So what were your feedbacks so far now that the premiere was last week? I'm very much interested to hear what is the feedback from the people and the resonance.
We had a lot of premieres going on where we did Q&A. My impression was that a lot of people are really taken from the movie, and it's some said it was like a threat. It's something you wouldn't normally get into it, because in a conversation or whatever you try not to avoid such things. So the confrontation with that was actually very good for them after the movie finished, because it made them think, and they thought it's important. It's generally, we don't like to talk about death, or when you have someone in your family committed suicide, you don't want to talk about it. It's just when you ask. So the movie really there stands for this taboo and stigma there is on mental health issue, on suicide issue. And so we had some people that just ran out because they couldn't bear it. It was too much. But this was the absolute exception.
Yeah, people want to talk, and I never got so many mails from people I don't know who found out my mail address to tell me that we are talking about their company. A lot of reactions, and I think when you go to the movies, it's kind of like a physical experience, because we're trying to talk about this tunnel in various ways, cineastic ways. So it's quite kind of a physical experience to watch it, and we have a lot of resonance on that.
And never such long question and answers in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, some went on, I think, 3/4 of an hour. And mostly if you go to cinema, then you do a Q&A. Maybe then you ask if someone has a question, then someone question.
How much
so
money
it's
did
embarrassing.
you...
And then how much money. But no, these were really discussions about the content and personal experience of the people. It was fantastic, the response.
And I think it's really important that we are not only talking about top managers. Of course, we talk also for them and to them, but this is the stress we all have, and that we might lose like an open mind, this is a topic that occurs to all of us, and not only to one social level. I think it's very important to know.
Yeah, and they talk about 30% of the people of corporations are close to burnout, and this starts somewhere, you know. So I think it's really an important issue, and what we try to do is also bring it down, as you said, to that you could connect. Yeah, how much do I care for my family? Because they say when you come into that tunnel, it can take another 3 to 4 years, you know, until it really gets bad.
So what would be then the message that you want to bring across? Should people have more understanding for top managers, or should people have more awareness for themselves? What is your message that you want to bring across?
Okay, main message would be that we need to watch out in the fields we work, that we have a lack of respect for the others. Empathy for top managers, yes, of course. I think what we need to understand as is that economy is really important in our society. Switzerland is as rich as Switzerland is because of the economy, and if there is something going wrong, how they deal there with each other, then the whole system is inflected. So I don't know if it's ever possible to change like the system of the narcissist winning against the modest person. I don't know if it ever was possible in this society, if it ever will be possible, but it would be good if modest people would win a little bit more.
Yeah, for me the main message is to take more care of each other and be more attentive. And in fact this doesn't cost anything, it just brings more benefit. If I'm nice to you and I say, you're good looking woman, I like you very much, have a great day, I can make your day better without that it costs me anything. And I think this sensitiveness, even opening a door for a woman,
inviting me to dinner tonight,
inviting you for dinner. And these are small things really that can change so much. And I think this got a little forgotten when you try to be very professional, very effective, that somehow the small things can change a lot. And we were astonished at this program from ENSA in Australia. It's a mental health program. 12 years ago they developed it, and it's scientifically proved that really acts on these matters, really has a great success. And I strongly believe in leadership and how leaders are, and the people that work for them, they try to copy, that they have a great responsibility in that. So our great hope is that a lot of CEOs go see that movie and maybe make a difference in their company.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What would you suggest to a person like Alexander, who is just realizing that his tunnel is getting more and more narrow? What would you suggest as a professional?
Thank you for that question. It's a very good one. A person like the main character obviously is getting into a tunnel which is getting smaller and smaller, and the first step would be to show it's not actually a tunnel. You have the whole horizon that is open to you. So the first step would be to get him out of that tunnel. And obviously the main character has lost that horizon, and with different kind of support we would try to get this person out of this tunnel and support him to rediscover the horizon. And maybe it would be to leave the job and to find a new purpose in life, because often these people who are in these positions don't have a purpose anymore when they are not in these positions anymore, because the whole life is built upon these hierarchies and these social surroundings. And when they are gone from this position, there is nothing left anymore. So actually, every CEO, every person who is in such an intense job should have also the counterbalance to have also content in the life next to the job. So actually all these CEOs who are so working intensive hours and have a lot of responsibility should have also more free time, which is obviously limited, but more content outside of the work, because that gives them the possibility and the potential not to have such a narrow view.
It's like, you know, it's like this picture of the house, when you're a house and here's profession, here's your private life, and this keeps you together.
Yes.
So one wall falling, okay, it's kind of okay, but both walls falling, when you lose everything, then it's getting tough.
It all crumbles.
Then it all crumbles down. So you need to take a step apart and to...
Absolutely. But characters like this, the CEO and the CFO, usually often wouldn't even dare to ask for help, because it would be a sign of weakness. In our society, being weak is not acceptable, or even to seek help is not even acceptable. That's why people like that often are, as you said, lonely at the top, alone, and just stay there because there is no other way out. And this is how it possibly could end. So I would like to thank you very much for your visit today. I would like to tell our viewers, we encourage you very much to watch this movie. It's really a very meaningful movie, a very beautiful message, and I think a topic that was tabooed many, many years, which now really has a chance to be a topic for the broader audience. Thank you very much for coming here. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go watch the movie.